Welcome everybody, and today we're taking a look at another film in the Universal Horror Monsters and Curiosities box set from Umbrella Entertainment. And like I said, we are going to be skipping over 1935's Bride of Frankenstein, as it's not the best version on this release. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I talked about it in a prior box set review as well. So yeah, nonetheless, today we are looking at 1939's Son of Frankenstein. So directed by Roland V. Lee, who also went on did before this a 1934 version of The Count of Monte Cristo, and in the same year as this, he would also do Tower of London, which is also part of this box set. And this is a horror film clocking in at 100 minutes long. Stars the likes of Basil Rathbone, who I've seen in 27 other films. Favourites from the same decade as this would be likes of The Adventures of Robin Hood, Captain Blood, The Hound of the Baskervilles, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Last Days of Pompeii, and Tower of London. You also got Boris Karloff, who has in 45 other films. He was also in Tower of London, but obviously more well known for the likes of Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, the two films that preceded this one. But he was also in the likes of Scarface, The Black Cat, The Raven, and The Old Dark House. You've also got Bela Lugosi, who I've seen in 26 other films, most famous for obviously being Dracula in Dracula. He was also in The Black Cat and the Raven, though, as well as Murders in the Rue Morgue, Mark of the Vampire, White Zombie, and Island of Lost Souls. And finally, got Lionel Atwill, who I've seen in 18 other films. He was also in Captain Blood and Mark of the Vampire, as well as Hound of the Baskervilles alongside Basil Rathbone. But he was also in Dr. X, Murders in the Zoo, Secret of the Blue Room, The Vampire Bat, and Mystery of the Wax Museum. So one of the sons of late Dr. Henry Frankenstein finds his father's ghoulish creation in a coma and revives him, only to find out the monster is controlled by Igor, who is bent on revenge, as yeah, he was sentenced to hanging, survived the hanging, and yeah, but has a really rather cricked neck, and yeah, isn't seen all that kindly upon by the villagers. So yeah, he is seeking revenge basically for being hung. And now, although the running time for this third film in the Frankenstein series is nearly half an hour longer than the original film from 1931, you needn't worry about this struggling to fill that extra time, as thankfully the plot is highly engrossing, while it has plenty of depth to it to the point where this matches the previous two efforts. Even if it isn't quite as iconic, there's certainly no scene here that is as memorable as the scenes in the previous two films. But I still think, on a a directing standpoint, in terms of the general look of the film as well, I think it is as good as, if not maybe slightly better in certain regards. The four lead cast is also superb. The supporting cast is good. It is well paced. The cinematography is great. The production and sets look better than either of the two prior films. Yeah, that's just because they look a lot grander, look a bit more in depth, and yeah, they are also better shot, I guess you could say, especially in terms of the lighting as well. The score is overall solid. The sound design is on point, especially when it comes to the lightning and thunder that happens during one crucial part of the film. Yeah, which looks really rather impressive as well. I'm pretty sure I know how they did it, but regardless, it does look really rather good, and it's certainly some of the best, sound design for a rainy, a lightning storm that I've seen in a film from this kind of period, and it is overall entertaining. So yeah, but like I said, not as iconic as the previous two films, but I don't really take that into account when it comes to rating a film. So it's still going to get a 4 out of 5, just like the previous two have had in when I've looked at them in the past. So yeah, a really, really solid effort, and yeah, one of the first films that we've looked at in this box that actually has a substantial cast to it that I've seen plenty of from before. And yeah, this is the first. Well, this is the second film on the first disc of Frankenstein Frights Part 1. Obviously, Bride of Frankenstein preceded it on this disc, and then House of Frankenstein will succeed it when we look at that eventually. So there are the three discs, three films on the one disc itself. So this is the third disc so far in this collection as well. And yeah, it's in the 133:1 aspect ratio, black and white, 2.0 DTS HD MA audio, which is the first time that kind of audio is actually coming to play into this box set, because obviously previous five films we've looked at were all silent. And yeah, you got English language as well as subtitles for the English in English for the deaf and hard of hearing. And even though this doesn't have any extras on it, I am happy to report that Bride of Frankenstein at least does have a trailer to it. And it is nice that they have subtitles on all three of these films. I imagine that he's going to carry on for the rest of this box set as well. And yeah, the main menu where you pick which film you want to watch, and if you want to watch a trailer or add subtitles and whatnot, is at least a lot better looking than the ones with the silent films as well. So yeah, on the whole, a decent start to the sound era of this box set. And yeah, a really rather good film in its own right, and it's one that I highly recommend. I feel like it is quite underrated, purely because it is coming off the back of two really rather iconic films. But that's always been the case with sequels, to be honest. You look at Jaws 2, which has always been unfairly maligned in comparison to Jaws, or the second Jurassic Park film. You know, I look at them separate to what has come before, because there's no way in hell that, you know, Jaws 2 or Jurassic Park 2 were ever going to match their predecessors. But I still find them to be worthy films in their own right, and this is the exact same case for this. No, it's not as iconic as the previous two. No, there isn't a scene in this that is quite as memorable as either of those two films. You know, the first film, you know, you've got the likes of, you know, the monster being brought alive, and then you've got the scene where the monster throws that little girl into the lake, and then you've also got a little bit more in the way of comedy in areas as well. So yeah, and then obviously Bride of Frankenstein, you got the iconic bride with the iconic hair and such and such. So there are more iconic scenes in those first two films, but I'd still say this is a well-worthy effort, and yeah, a really, really good way to end the decade off for this series. So yeah, but nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you have seen Son of Frankenstein before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.